Now, the way I want you to look at this is ordinary world. People they don't know what they want. They're looking for a problem, or they know what they want. They just can't find it. And here is extraordinary world where everything's solved. They've crossed the bridge. Now, you'll see in the pillars on this image is we have ordinary world. We have frustrations and fears. So they're feeling their frustrations and fears. And over here, they're experiencing their wants and desires. Over here is all about red brain logic. And over here is about the green brain emotion. And what you're doing is, again, you're taking them from red brain to green brain. Red brain being the logical stuff where we think they're the answers we need to move us through the sales process. I think, like Kathy, I think I need to know how often we'll talk about my property, when you'll invoice me, how often you do inspections, how often I really don't need to know any of that. I need to know that I trust you and you look after my property. How the hell you do that? A fair amount, doesn't even matter. If you're looking after it, you're doing a good job, So when you invoice, when you inspect, what you inspect for, all that stuff is logical. That's what I think I need to know to make a decision. When really what I need to know is, can I trust you? How are you going to look after the tenants? All the emotional green brain stuff. Here, they're unaware of their values. Here, yours and their values are aligned. Mm-hmm. So if you're ever doing cold calls in any sense, right? You're about to go out to a big client. If you're not already, look at their website, look at anything they can with a filter of looking for what their values are.
Yeah.
If they have a mission and their values, get a sense of what that is. Now, that may be with some companies, these are our values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or it may be those green brain words through their copy, whether that's in emails or, on their website, like I said. And then if you're aligned with them in any way, I would highlight that, bring that out in the way you talk. Because sales essentially is leadership. Leadership is sales. And all we're talking about there is that our values align. So again, with you, Kathy, with me knowing that however you look after my property, if I'm going with you, it's because I have some sense of our values aligning, which means I trust you and you will look after my property. So the process overall is you're moving one from there to there. What majorly affects that is your state management. I would give you an 8-step process today. Finally, it's not about the steps. It's not about the words you use. Don't ever think I'm telling you just to get a sentence out. That doesn't mean anything. It's that you earn the sale. Earning the sale is having some sense of all 4 areas of your success cycle and working on them, knowing what your values are, living by them, showing up like it matters because it does. And the way you do that is being aware of your state management. This is so important. I've got to go into this now. So I've just got to be quick on this. State management. Speaking of Tony Robbins, I'm going to hazard a guess. Maybe this is the first place I've heard this. First place I heard it. Does anyone know what controls the state that you're in at any given time?
Fight or flight? No.
No. Well, yes, but no. That's not where I'm going with this. But as value,
emotion and surroundings.
Emotion and surroundings. What dictates emotion and surroundings?
Okay. If you're at a funeral, but you're really good at stand-up comedy, it's probably not going to necessarily be held very well. Saying you bought sausages to a barbecue is when you're at the crematorium, probably not the funniest thing for some of the other people around. Yes. So situation and emotion. So if you need to be able to create, I guess, rapport or understand their emotion, to be able to drive them either away from that emotion through framing or some other thing. I guess that's all I got. That's what I got.
Oh, that was good. Anyone else? I'll take that deafening silence as a no. So what I asked was, what dictates your situation and emotion? The two things that control the state that you experience at any point in time, because the situation and your emotion you can't necessarily control. You can control this, but that's what I'm going to talk about. It's a step before that. And so could you be at a funeral and have a good emotion? Like quite easily, you know, like this person had an amazing life. They're moving on to bigger and better things. And yes, I'm going to miss them, but they're moving on to bigger and better things, depending on what your beliefs are, you know. Or it could be, I don't know how I'm going to live without this person, you know. So it could go either way. So what am I doing there if I'm the person that feels this way or that way? Put your hands up if you're going to answer.
Is it perception? I mean, the reality is reality. Your perception and my perception of the reality is different.
Yeah.
Am I the wrong way for you?
So the two things, what dictates that is what you focus on and your physiology. So your emotions affect your physiology. What is often forgotten, because I would say we all know this, we just don't realize it, is that your physiology affects your emotions. So now if I said in the next room over, there's a group of depressed people, you know they're not going to be standing there with their heads up high, deep breaths, shoulders back. You know they're going to be slumped in some way. You know their facial expression is going to be, you know, depressed. We know what that means. They're not going to be smiling. Their face isn't going to be lit up. Their eyebrows are going to be lower. We know their breath is going to be shallower than someone who's feeling ecstatic. That it's a two-way street. So, you know, there's been studies done. You may have heard of people that are depressed, and let's separate depression from clinically depressed. And look, I don't know enough about it, and I'm not an expert in this, but that some of the therapy has been having them sit in front of the mirror and just smile for a certain amount of time each day has had massive effects, because when we actually change the muscle position, let's say, of our face being a smile, it lights off chemicals or sparks, you know, lights off chemicals, whatever, in our brain. So the physiology. So, you know, if you're going into work hungover, then your physiology change, which means you feel like that even more. So that's an easy one to fix. Make sure that you are standing up straight. Your physiology is someone that is feeling good, whether you are or not. Fake it till you make it, because your physiology will affect how you feel. The other one is your focus. This one is massive. Does anyone know what dictates your focus?
Your ability to listen and understand.
What about if you want to focus on something good and all I want to talk about is something bad?
And you
do well.
Give me an example. I'll see if I can make it good. I'll try to reframe it.
Yeah, but I don't accept your reframe. Like, no, this is a terrible situation. Don't try and sugarcoat it.
Well, I think you can understand that it isn't great at the moment, but with some time, would be able to you'd find old scars will heal. No, that's not how it goes. Would be able to find some common ground here, I think.
Yeah. So let's go. That's a good point where you're going, right? But I don't want it to be how you or me is affecting each other's state. It's how you control your own, because that's really all you can do. You can influence others. You can only control your own. What dictates your focus? So when I say, what do you think dictates your focus? Are you aware that all you're doing is sitting there asking yourself questions? And for you to agree or disagree with this, you have to ask yourself a question. Yeah? I'm not getting too cryptic, am I? Because I'm getting some really blank faces. Just do this.
Well, you said, what do you think instead of what do you feel changes the situation? So you use a word that's more about thinking about it instead of feeling about it.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that depending on the questions you ask yourself will dictate how you feel in any given moment. So you ask quality questions, you get quality answers. Like, do you ever, it's as simple as that. Like, think of the quality of questions that you're asking, because you could be asking, why do I do this all the time? Like, why do I keep screwing up? And you're going to get an answer. It's something like, because you're stupid or you're a dick. Where you could say, okay, keep getting these lessons, you know, what's in this? What can I learn from this to make me bigger and better? Okay, well, what you can learn is you need to do more of this. So the quality of your questions will dictate the quality of your answers. And so what you ask, like your questions, again, remember the beliefs, like the flashlight in the warehouse. Similar thing, when you ask a question, it dictates where you're going to focus. If you're focusing on what you could do to improve this, it's a lot better than focusing on how you screwed things up and how you're shit and how you're never good enough, right? So the questions you ask dictate where your focus goes. The physiology you use dictates the chemicals that are released in your body. Both of those come together to dictate how you feel in any given moment. Whether that is shoulders back, okay, I'm excited as to how much I'm going to rock this appointment just before you walk in, or on an ongoing basis to affect this. Because the better you get at this is habitual. Like, from coaching many, many people, some of the questions they ask themselves are horrendous. And then I realized, like, oh, I can kind of remember that back when I was like a teenager or whatever. Because I've been working on this for so long. My questions are good. And if I come up with a stupid question, I'm like, you know, I have that knee-jerk reaction. I was like, well, dude, what do you expect with a question like that? So at any given time, you really want to have 3 questions you can fall back on. So I would say, where's the good in this? What can I learn from this? And my one, I say, how can I make this shit look good? It's not about looking good. It's about presupposing that I can or can't do it. It's about stepping past that and doing it with style. That's kind of that's just how I play with myself. That's how I sex it up a little bit. Instead of saying, Steve-O's into it. Instead of saying, can I actually, like, okay, a better question would be, can I actually do this? Can I even do this? Right? Not a good question. The other question is, how do I make this shit look good? It's like, okay, I'm stepping way past can I do it into, okay, I'm doing this. How can I have fun and flair doing it? They're the things. Now, they're habitual questions in anything I'm doing. The harder I get hit, what can I learn from this? How can I have fun here? How can I make this shit look good? So you're constantly going back to these questions. I mean, not daily, like hourly, like regularly, a few times throughout the day. That consistently and habitually controls your focus. And then, as my man Tom Walden could help you out with, posture, working out, staying fit and healthy so that you naturally stand up like this and you're not slumping. And you notice this, you know, if you're sitting at your desk and you're slumping over, that is going to change your emotions.